I now welcome to the podium Bishop Juan Carlos Mendez, LAPD chaplain.
Let us bow our heads. O God, you have made of one blood all the people of earth, but you have also richly blessed us with a world of many languages, cultures, and traditions. I thank you today for the many contributions which Hispanic and Latin Americans have made and continue to make in this great country. Hispanic Americans have been an integral part of the prosperity here in the United States. Our contributions to the nation are immeasurable, and they embody the best of American values. The Hispanic American community has left an indelible mark on the U.S. culture and society. Lord, I pray that you will enable us to always learn from each other and appreciate each other. We pray that you make us strong as one nation because of our diverse gifts and experiences. I pray that you enrich our minds, our bodies, and our spirits as we celebrate together on this beautiful day and during this Hispanic Heritage Month. In your name we pray. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop. I now welcome the Mayor of Los Angeles, Eric Garcetti.
Thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause to Lieutenant Robles for the hard work she has put in making this happen. Thank you. Muchísimas gracias, and thank you for the leadership of La Ley. Thank you for everybody who has come here today. It wasn't just the free pupusas, right? We are all here to celebrate an incredible month in which we celebrate the heritage of this Latino city, this Hispanic city. I often say, obviously, the original inhabitants here, whose first village was just across the street, kind of where City Hall is today, the Tongva, then were joined by Spanish subjects who were white and black and brown and every shade in between, but they all spoke Spanish. Before the category existed, they were Hispanos, they were Latinos, who could trace their ancestry to Europe and to Africa, to Asia, and to the Americas. So when we lift up and we celebrate our heritage, we're celebrating everybody's heritage. You can be Latino or just Latino curious, and we welcome you here today to look at the extraordinary contributions of building this city and within this department, a department that has changed this city for the better each and every day of its existence. And I want to thank Bishop Mendez for joining us, the great work he does, Lou Calanche, who's our extraordinary, not just police commissioner, but a community activist and face and force of justice, and Chief Moore for always being a part of making sure that we mirror this city, whether it's in recruiting more Latinos. Now I've been in Latino graduating classes that are sometimes 60% of city, and if you look at our youth population, even though Latinos are 50% of the city, we're about 60 to 65% of the young population of what's coming, but also the work that this department does, division by division, slow by slow, police officer by police officer, to engage with community at the toughest and at the most celebratory moments as well. This story is all of our story, and I invite you all to embrace it. It's also my story, the story of my grandmother, Juanita, who was the daughter of Mexican immigrants, one of 18 children to the same two parents, who migrated here from Arizona when she was a teenager and went to manual arts, who met my grandfather, a Mexican immigrant, Salvador, who, as we celebrate El Grito tonight across the street, Mexican independence, it's the largest declaration of that outside of Mexico, who came here and himself looked for a better life with his mother. Grew up in Boyle Heights, was a dreamer before that term existed, and as some of you have heard me talk about, the LAPD helped him turn his life around, and I'm here today as the grandson of that immigrant from Mexico and mayor of this city. In fact, it was an LAPD officer named Tom Bradley who helped my grandfather turn his life around. So when we look at the work that remains before us, it's to make sure that we don't just mark history, but we make history. That we don't just mark history, we make history. And I put that challenge before you after my 21 plus years of service in this city, 9.5 nearly as your mayor. I know that this is a daily undertaking. You can have a great day yesterday, but what will you do today to make history? Who will you reach out to? What voice that we don't hear will you make sure is included? And as I look back on the more than the 9 years I've been mayor, I see much that we can collectively be proud of, whether it's creating a much more inclusive and representative department, or as we look at the work that we do inside communities, especially with the immigrant community, to make sure that LAPD is not a force to fear, but a force to join, to collaborate with. We need the immigrant community always to trust, as we've done, quite controversial, but it's since the 1970s, Special Order 40, to make sure that immigrants know that when they talk to an LAPD officer, she or he's first and only concern is their safety. And that has been an amazing thing that we were able to do. 52% of our LAPD personnel are now Latino. But there's much more work to do to elevate and advance the work of Latinos in command positions, in leadership roles, to make sure that there's more women in our department. And thank you, you're the first woman to lead La Ley, and that's a groundbreaking position that you're in, Lieutenant. But also making sure that at all levels of the organization that we understand the cultural sensitivities that we need to have to make sure we can serve Los Angeles. En español también yo quiero decir unas palabras, porque este es un día de mucho orgullo por todos los latinos hispanos en la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Como un alcalde latino por la ciudad de Los Ángeles, tengo mucho orgullo en la historia de mi familia, de mis abuelos, inmigrantes a esta ciudad, y también en la representación en nuestro departamento. Más de un mitad de los miembros de este departamento son latinos, 52%. Pero necesitamos más lazos en la comunidad, con inmigrantes, con latinos. Y la comunidad latina es muy diversa, no solamente es mexicanos, es centroamericanos, personas del Caribe y Suramérica también. Y gracias a Jefe Moore y la ley, la organización que son los representativos de latinos oficiales en el departamento, tenemos una visión de inclusión, de dignidad, de equidad para todos los residentes de Los Ángeles. Y las contribuciones que han hecho continúan haciendo a nuestro país, a nuestra cultura y a esta ciudad, que es una ciudad originalmente hispana también. So with that, I just wanted to say thank you. I hope I'm not keeping anybody from their pupusas. Please keep serving while we're talking, because these folks have been waiting for a long time. But as I end my time, I've got, I think, 87 days left as your mayor. And I just want to thank those Latino members of LAPD who have really been a part of my experience over the last 21 years. Every police officer that I've interacted with has been a special part of my life for the last 20 years. But in particular, as I know, we've gone into communities that have never seen a police officer or have only seen a police officer in a negative situation when there's a crime being committed. I've seen the work that you have done, and I think the most inspirational police officers for me are the ones when we're doing our inspection at graduation who say, I grew up in Northeast Los Angeles. I grew up in South Los Angeles. I grew up in the east part of this county, and all I've ever wanted to do is to protect my community and to serve it. And in many ways, you embody what has always been great about this department, but what will continue to be great about this department as well. So felicidades. Let's celebrate. I invite everybody to El Grito tonight. If you want another free meal, there's lots of good food and entertainment, so you can have a free lunch and a free dinner. But thank you, Lieutenant, for making this happen, and happy Hispanic Heritage Month to everybody in LAPD. Gracias. And with that, shall I introduce Chief? Oh, no, okay, so it gives me great joy. As I mentioned, a great fighter for not just our police department, but also somebody who has built ties between the community and our police department for so many years, which is one of the reasons I asked her to take on the very high-paying job of being commissioner. Actually, she gets $0. It's like a full-time job on top of her work, but she's done an extraordinary job. Please welcome Commissioner Luca Lanche.
Okay, so do I have to do my Spanish so that, compared to the mayor? Hola, ¿cómo están? Feliz día Día del Orgullo Hispano. Okay, that's. I won't take long because I know that we have other speakers and we have pupusas and other information. But I'm so honored to be here as the Latino commissioner on the Board of Police Commissioners. I'm hoping that one day that we would have more than one. But right now, it's such an honor for me to be the Latino commissioner and to represent the interests of not just the Latino community, but also Latino officers and all officers that work for this great department. As I'm thinking about Los Angeles and what it means to live in Los Angeles, I just traveled abroad for 3 months and just recently returned. And people always ask me, like, what's the best part of LA? And I have to say that the best part of LA is that we have Latin food, Mexican food, pupusas from El Salvador, all kinds of food. Oaxaca, I mean, Mexico is just like so diverse in its food. So we are so lucky to live in a city where you could have a street taco or fine Mexican cuisine anytime you want. So I'm just so proud to come from a culture that embraces, celebration and being happy and community. Part of our history goes, whether you're first generation, second, third, fourth generation, Mexican or Central American or South American, we come from a people that we should be very proud of. Our roots are from a people, the Aztecs, the Mayans, people that were incredible mathematicians that provided so many contributions to our current society. So we should always carry that pride. Sometimes we don't hear about those great contributions from our, ancestors from centuries and centuries ago, but I always carry that pride and want to convey that to folks that we are hardworking people that come to this country, or were here before it was the United States, but are hardworking and always want to make a contribution. Now, as police officers, we make a contribution to Los Angeles every day, and I'm proud. Is that the Adam 12 or Mission Impossible? Thank you for that. So it's not a mission impossible to do wonderful work in the city and to serve the wonderful residents of the city. And I thank you, all the officers, the contribution that Latino officers make to this department and that they make to the city. And thank you all for your leadership, and continue to take pride in your history. And this month, eat as much as you can of our Mexican food, our El Salvadorian food, Central American food in LA to contribute to the economy of the city and help those small business folks that have these restaurants that have been struggling for some time during the pandemic. But just congratulations again on the opening of Hispanic Heritage Month. And I'm here to serve. If you ever need anything, please feel free to approach or to reach out. And on behalf of the Board of Police Commissioners, be Hispanic Heritage Month. Thank you. And it is my honor to introduce, it was our second appearance in 2 days together. It is my honor to work with Chief Moore. I've had the pleasure of working with him the last 2 years, and I actually just got reappointed for another 4 years. Hopefully I can stick around for the 4 years, but I look forward to working with you during that time, and thank you for all of your work and leadership in the department. So Chief Michael Moore.
Commissioner, thank you. Please give her a hand for being here, her volunteerism, her leadership on the commission. I wish for 4 more years as well. So we'll join all this together. But I do want to say that today, Commissioner, is a much more celebratory event. Yesterday, tragically, in Lincoln Heights, we brought attention, as did the entire community. I was proud of the many stakeholders that were there to bring attention to a tragedy of the loss of life of 2 young people that were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, but also fell prey to gun violence here in Los Angeles. And your leadership in being a voice that we don't have to accept that. But today is a much more celebratory nature. This is one that we're here to celebrate the Hispanic Heritage Month, this celebration that begins today, that goes over an entire 30-day period that people will say, well, when do you do months like this period, half this month, half that month? If you look across Central America, South America, Mexico, the Caribbean, you'll see that a number of these countries have their Independence Day during that period of time. So this is, I think, the wisdom of the National Heritage, the Hispanic Heritage Month, is that it tries to bring together and knit together all of the cultures within Latinos, Hispanics, that as the various descriptions of our brothers and sisters, that many have traveled here, that have made such a foundational step in establishing their presence, as the mayor indicated. Mayor, thank you for being here. Thank you for your continued leadership in this city. In perilous times, you have been a steady rock, a North Star that we have appreciated. I did not realize 83 days is what you said? Wow. Okay, well, we what I've enjoyed since the early days, where he and I were together just this past Sunday on the 21st anniversary of 9/11, and another somber day. But I remember that morning as if it was yesterday, and your leadership as a young city council member, me as a young captain, a very uncertain future. So, I fast forward 21 years later, and I think that the journey that we've all been through, and again, just my respect to you, your family, the sacrifices you've made, all of your family has, to make a difference in the city and lead both in good times, the establishment of the Olympics coming back here in 2028, seeing the Summit of the Americas. You had nothing to do with the Dodgers, but getting a couple World Series trips through here and a couple other things, you've really led us both in the good times and the bad. And I think you leave the city, certainly I know you leave the city in a much better place than you brought it. And that's really all what we all asked to do. Today, as we celebrate this beginning of this Heritage Month, I want to draw out that Los Angeles, as it represents the best in recognizing the culture and the history of our Latino brothers and sisters, I so believe this department does as well. We have, over the last more than 150 years, seen how the department can change and meet, and needs to meet, the needs of the most cosmopolitan city in America, if not the world. And this department has not always met that mark, has not always made history. It has marked it too many times with cultures and practices that it inherited from generations before. The mayor referenced in 1978 the infamous Special Order 40, that while controversy at the time set the standard for American policing for the last more than 40 years, that when dealing with all of our communities, one's immigration status is of no regard for as a matter of a police matter. What we're here for is to protect and serve everyone. And while that was primarily geared towards our Hispanic brothers and sisters, it has extended, we've learned over the decades that followed, to all cultures and all people of all origins. And it has demonstrated that LAPD does lead in American policing. Since that time, I'm also, and more recently in our decade, this past decade, saw our leadership as a department under the leadership of the city governance that said, provincial licensing. Why is it that that a documented status determines whether or not you have the privilege, but also the responsibilities of driving? And this city led in petitioning the governor and achieved success, but it took us being risked with lawsuits and being risked with you're breaking the law by not impounding cars and senselessly holding them for 30 days for circumstances in which the person had no control, no ability to change. And it was, again, those type of changes that I believe has set the standard and will continue. When we look back over this time, work that Lole has continued to do. In the last 4 years, I asked all of our employee-affiliated organizations to step forward. That when we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, we talk about building and attracting a workforce that's diverse and represents all of our Los Angeles, that our employee-affiliated organizations are best suited to help and partner with us to achieve that, because those that represent that diversity inside this department know best the shortfalls, know best the areas in which we can grow both internally with our culture and the manner in which we guide and manage ourselves, but also externally to all of our communities. Lole has been a leader in that. They have been historically, over the last 40 years, an organization that has vested in the next generation of officers, next generation of civilians, to build them and make them ready for the next era of responsibility. But in the last 4 years, they have stepped up on steroids with this matter, not just in the sense that they have developed state-of-the-art training and development for people and recruited for that next generation, but they have led in the mentoring of that next generation. Selena, I cannot thank you enough for your leadership within Lole. You have brought fresh energy and enthusiasm, sophistication, and a strategic plan that lays forward, I think, a very promising path. As the mayor indicated, 52% of this organization is Hispanic, but that does not represent itself evenly throughout the ranks and pay grades in our sworn and our civilian ranks. It is a commitment that I make. It is a commitment my senior staff makes, that we entire as an organization, that we need to be representative of our diversity, our rich diversity, both in ethnicity as well as gender, throughout this entire organization. That's not just achieved with a banner. That's achieved with hard work. It's achieved with express milestones and in holding ourselves accountable. And every employee affiliate group has stepped into that challenge, and I welcome that partnership. And we're going to achieve what we need in that area, because that will make the department continue to lead law enforcement for the next decade and the next decade by ensuring that our most precious resource, and that is our people, are representative of the various communities we serve. God bless you for being here today. Enjoy the food, enjoy the entertainment, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. At this time, I'd like to introduce, as our last speaker, because I recognize that food truck is right there. It's still going. Okay, good. And that is our Director of Constitutional Policing and Policy. This is a woman that have gained great respect for, a former prosecutor, federal prosecutor, a woman who oversaw civil rights within the U.S. Department of Justice, who not just led but taught and developed their work in their organization for the people of this great country, and now she brings that wealth and that wisdom to us, and that is Director Liz Rhodes.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Liz Rhodes, and I'm the Director of Constitutional Policing and Policy. And on behalf of Commander Ruby Flores, who is the department's first Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer, I'd like to thank you all for being here. This month, as people have said, spans September 15th through October 15th, spans Hispanic Heritage Month, and we are very proud to be part of that and to have this celebration here. So thank you for coming. The city and the department host a variety of heritage events throughout the year, and with each, including this one, we are given a chance to uplift the community, to remember the challenges that it faced, to recognize the challenges that it still faced, and most importantly, to move forward towards a community that everyone has a seat at the table. This is what we are celebrating here today. The Hispanic community is vital, and in fact, is the oldest community, as the mayor indicated, in our city. It was also vital to law enforcement when just under 10 men served under a marshal at the very beginning of this city's incorporation. Now, of course, we are much more diverse and much larger, but we are still dedicated to protect and serve this community. It's been mentioned several times, and I think it bears repeating, that Hispanics are 52% of our sworn and civilian population. But those numbers alone don't really do justice to the contribution of the Hispanic members of our departments, whether from leaders who go out into the community and bring forth both immigrants and established families so that everyone has a voice and an equal voice, to officers who are in neighborhoods every day serving both the community they grew up in and making change motivators and change leaders in that community, to PSRs and administrative professionals who make sure that language is never a barrier in this city and everyone can feel safe. And all of that is done through our Hispanic individuals, both sworn and civilian. So I know, and all of you here today know, that our department is better for being diverse, that we are stronger, that we serve better, and that we gain trust and respect of our community. So thank you so much for letting me speak today. And with that, I'd like to just recognize once again Lieutenant Selena Robles. I know the mayor said it, but again, I think it bears repeating. She is our first female president of LLA, and she, along with countless other people, put together this wonderful event. So thank you very much, Selena.
Thank you, Director, for those kind words. That now concludes our program. I do encourage you to step into our police headquarters to see the unveil. We're going to unveil our Hispanic Heritage exhibit display with our rich history and our contributions. Please enjoy the pupusas, our entertainment with music and mariachi. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner, Bishop, Director. Thank you all for participating today. Thank you.